Hey, there you are. Come on. I got something pretty awesome to show you. It's a mess out here because it's full chaos. These just showed up. Guess what time of year it is? It's pushing September. That means it's wood stove season. We're trying to gear up as best we can for winter. This is only part of our shipment. The guys are... What?
Oh my God. Where are we going to put all this, Trev?
Dude, I'm doing a video. And two, it's not my problem. You're the warehouse guy. It's not my job to figure out where these go, right?
He's always ordering his stuff.
Do you have anywhere to put these?
No.
All right, well, you'll figure out a spot. Let's just say the guys are not happy because I went a little crazy ordering wood stoves this year. There's a reason for that, which I'm going to tell you in the video. We have to talk about the tax credit before it gets too cold outside and there's no wood stoves left. I'm going to educate you guys on the new stimulus tax credit. I have a video of it previously. This is a revised version now that we have more information out on it. We're talking wood stoves today. Before we get into it, you know what to do. You have to subscribe, give this video a thumbs up. Let's get started on this video. So as I said, we have a lot to digest when it comes to wood stoves, wood insert type season. We want to make sure you guys are prepared for this winter because obviously we have major supply chain challenges with the COVID-19 pandemic, which of course you guys are all aware of that. We're going to talk about what that means for you if you're shopping for a wood stove. And then as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic as well, with the new tax relief, we talked about it slightly in another video. You guys ripped me apart on this video right here. We'll show the thumbnail of it. You guys thought I talked too long, I was trying to be too funny, and I spent too much time jabbing. So we're gonna educate you. There's been some revisions that were not quite right in our original video, so we're gonna start with talking about the tax credit, then I'm gonna get into supply chain issues and which stoves really qualify for the tax credit first and foremost. So these are inserts. For the sake of simplicity, we're gonna talk about stoves. If they have corresponding inserts, a lot of times that applies across the board. So let's talk about it. All right, so you can see we still have some displays we haven't even uncrated. Like I said, a lot going on here, a lot of inventory showing up here, which we'll talk about in the second half of the video. But let's focus on the tax credit quick. So first off, what is the tax credit? Well, being in the fireplace industry for a long time, it's always frustrated me that they've never included clean wood burning biomass products, wood, pellet type products included in some sort of energy efficient process because they're just as good for the environment compared to old open fireboxes. They help clean up the environment and clean up the air quality just as much as, let's say, going totally electric or totally solar. So it is important that these types of products are recognized because they are so much better for the environment. And so if they can sort of create a stimulus or stimulate consumers to upgrade their stoves, and everybody does it, of course that's going to be better for the environment. So that's sort of the principle behind why I think it's important. That's just me personally. Why is it included? Well, they sort of just help stimulate the economy with all the hardships from COVID-19. Obviously, people being able to heat their homes in an affordable way is super beneficial for people. So what they've done, here's how the tax credit's structured, is if you buy a qualifying product, we'll talk in a second what a qualifying product means, you get 26% of your purchase price back on your taxes when you do your tax returns. Now you'll have to talk to your CPA about exactly how that works and what that means. We're not here to give professional advice on what the exact tax credit or how it applies to you specifically. So talk to your CPA or yourself about that. But essentially you get 26%. Now here's the coolest thing, is I've never seen this before. They're gonna give you 26% back on the purchase price of the stove, all the stovepipe you need to install it, and the labor that you pay. So that's huge, and there's no cap. The best I've ever seen was in 2008 or so. They were doing 30% up to $3,000, and it only included the body of the unit. So the fact that they're doing 26% uncapped, that's awesome, because depending on your stovepipe run, if you're doing an insert, you know, you're gonna have a chimney liner that goes down your chimney. If you're doing a freestanding stove, you're gonna have, you know, a stovepipe stack. No, that doesn't sound right. You're gonna have a stack of stovepipe, I guess you could say. You know, I've been in the industry, I should know how to say that. Whatever you call it, you're gonna have piping. Now, piping is actually pretty expensive, especially if you do double wall, and then if you have triple wall running through the attic, you can spend anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000 on your pipe run, depending on how much pipe you need. So it does add up. Same with labor. Depending on part of the country, you could be anywhere from $500 to a couple $1,000s in labor, depending on your situation. So you tack on the labor, you tack on the stovepipe, the cost of the appliance itself, you're gonna have yourself a nice little chunk at the end, which is really, really cool. So we're expecting to have a really big wood burning season. Now, I mentioned it's only on qualified products. Here's what I said wrong in the other video, because there's more clarification that came out. We did that video super quick right when we got the notice. Now that we have more details involved, we can talk about specifically what stoves qualify. So my original thought was there's gonna be anything that was EPA certified stage 2. Now, to me, that's the most logical way to do it. It's easy because pretty much everything on the market's EPA stage 2. Everything on the market that is EPA stage 2 is extremely, extremely clean burning. And because it's so clean burning, to me, it's so logical. Let's just get these clean burning stoves into people's homes. Let's get them swapped out. It's gonna help the environment anyways, because they're such high performing units already, and make it simple and easy for everyone. Well, of course, that's not the case. So it essentially EPA phase 2, but it also has to meet an efficiency rating over 75%. I forget if it's on a high burn or a low burn. But anyways, there's a bunch of fine print on how they actually qualify. So it makes it really confusing on what qualifies and what doesn't. Thankfully, manufacturers have had time to figure this out, and they've made approved lists of what qualifies. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through some of the major brands. So if you're shopping for a particular brand, right now we're gonna tell you, go through the products that we stocked heavy on and what really qualifies for the tax credit. So you can see I'm sitting on our lineup of Vermont castings. We have the Aspen, Intrepid, Dauntless, Encore, and the Big Dog Defiant. If you want to know the differences, I'll include a link below on a video between the two. But for example, if we go to Vermont Casting's website, and we'll show you a link to this, we'll share our screen here. But these websites are really kind of showing us exactly laying out what qualifies. Okay, so we'll tell you which Vermont Castings models qualify, and this is direct from Vermont Casting's website. So the Aspen C3 qualifies for this tax credit. The Dauntless Flex Burn, which is what I'm sitting on, the Encore does, the Intrepid does. Now, there's a catch with the Intrepid, is you have to buy, in order for it to qualify, to meet that efficiency rating, you have to buy the Catalytic Performance Pack. It's a couple $100, not a huge purchase. You're getting 26% of it anyways. So that's really awesome. And then also the Defiant. So pretty much all 5 of these units qualify, which is super cool. It makes it easy because Vermont Casting is one of our most popular selling brands, and across the board, their units qualify. So that's really cool. So that's Vermont Castings. You don't have to worry about it. Pretty much everything wood burning that they have is going to qualify. So let's talk some other brands here. Okay, so Vermont Castings is one of the brands, because their whole catalog qualifies, we absolutely loaded up on inventory more than we ever have in any other season due to the high demand that we're expecting. We expect to be sold out before winter really even gets going. That's what you saw in the intro of that video. That was all of our Vermont Castings product, which we had to order back in the spring, and they're just now hitting, which we're going to talk about supply chain issues in a minute. Let's talk about another brand that is very, very robust in offering a very wide selection, actually probably the most that I've seen that qualify for the tax credit. And that's a new brand that we picked up called Hearthstone. So we'll show you overlay some images here as I sort of go through these. We'll have the display soon. We still haven't even gotten our shipment in. They are coming. But essentially, here's the Hearthstone stoves that qualify. So we have the Castleton, the Heritage, the Mansfield, the Craftsberry, the Shelburne, the Manchester, the Green Mountain 40, Green Mountain 60, Green Mountain 80, Barry Plus, and the Clydesdale. That's 12 Hearthstone has 12 units that qualify for the tax credit. That's the most I've seen. That's super awesome. They're gonna have a big monster year. They're awesome stoves. We'll have reviews coming out on them soon. We can't even get them. That's why we don't have reviews out on them yet, but they are coming. I think we've reviewed one so far, which you can go back and, come on boys. Quiet on set. So we have 2 more brands that we went pretty heavy on. Another brand that we wanted to talk about is Iron Strike. Now, if you're not familiar with Iron Strike, they're the old country stove product from the 80s and forever ago. It was really stupid they changed their name to Iron Strike because people loved country stoves and they decided to change their name. Not the smartest in my opinion, but that's a separate video. So they really have 2 units that qualify. Actually, let me take you over here. I'll show them to you. Okay, so this is the insert version, but let me talk about the stoves first. So they have 2. They have a little tax credit icon on their website. So again, really easy to identify. So if you're doing your research at home, most manufacturers have made this pretty easy to tell if it qualifies. If they have a unit that qualifies, they're gonna wanna brag about it, and they do, because they want people to buy them. So this is the Montlick 300. So this is basically their top dog unit. We'll have another review of this if you want it in details. I'll tell you why. Essentially part of it's because it has such a big viewing area. But this is the 300, the large, and they have it in the 230, which is the small. Their stove, their freestanding stove is the exact same unit, but it's called the Grandview. So the Grandview 300 and the Grandview 230 qualify. So Iron Strike has 2 stoves and 2 inserts that qualify. So this would be another good one that I would take a look at. While we're over here on the insert side, another one, we burned this, another one. What am I, DJ Khaled?
Another one.
Oh, that was funny. We the best. Oh goodness. This is the MF Fire. You heard me right, MF. MF, that's their name. Kind of cool, I guess. But this is their insert version. This is the Nova 2. This you can buy in an insert or really cool tower settings on the freestanding stove. Again, show them this video or show them this website. All right, so another brand is Quadrifier. So here we have the Discovery Series. This guy does qualify. You'll have to go on Quadrifier's website, download the certificate. They have a lot that actually qualifies. Looks like pretty much all their pellet stoves, and again, don't quote me on that, but just download the certificate. They have a ton of pellet stoves. Looks like a lot of their wood inserts, and then their Discovery Series as well, which is really cool. So that's gonna be just a quick snippet on Quadrifier. We're not loaded up on them for inventory. I'm not exactly sure how their inventory is going to pan out, but Quadrifier is another good one to look at for, you know, a decent catalog of stuff that's going to qualify for the tax credit. Okay, now this is an educational video, not just stuff we sell. We're not just, you know, pushing like a sales technique here or anything. A brand that we do not carry, but we don't want to leave out, is a brand called Blaze King. They're always notoriously known for high efficiency stoves. I used to sell them a really long time ago. They are really nice stoves. They also have a tax credit. Again, it looks like a huge chunk of their stuff qualifies. Looks like on the stove side they have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They got 9 wood stoves that qualify and 3 inserts. So if you're a big Blaze King fan, check them out. Okay, so another brand that is actually really, really popular is gonna be Supreme. So Supreme Fireplaces, they make built-in fireplaces, stoves, and inserts. Really, really cool stuff. I know they have some pretty intense lead times right now. And I believe there's nothing showing on their website that any of their stuff qualifies. So even though their stuff's really cool, it does not qualify. Now, let me say this, as I said earlier, just because something doesn't qualify for the tax credit doesn't mean it's not clean burning, doesn't mean it's not super efficient, and it doesn't mean that it's not good. Supreme's like an awesome, awesome product, super contemporary, nice clean lines, looks awesome. Actually, we have one over there. So it's that one underneath the white mantle there. Go check that out. So that's the Supreme Astra 32. Really, really nice unit, but unfortunately does not qualify for the tax credit. That doesn't mean you can't buy one this winter. you're just not going to qualify for the tax credit. Okay, so the last brand we want to talk about, which is really, really popular, in years past has been one of our best sellers. I still think these stoves that don't qualify, they're still going to sell really well. I do think, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, this thing's going to turn into, you're going to buy whatever wood stove you can get your hands on this winter. So, I don't know. I don't know what this winter is going to hold. This is going to be a crazy winter. Osborne Manufacturing. So Osborne makes some really, really cool stuff. They don't show anything advertised on their website. I'm not seeing anything that shows any sort of tax certificate or anything. Again, just like Supreme, their stuff is really cool. It's been one of our best sellers. We never really have warranty problems with them. And they're very, very attractive looking. So very, very solid wood stoves. One more, I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about it, and that's our friends at Napoleon. You guys know we love Napoleon products. They don't have as robust of a wood catalog as they used to. They've been in the wood business since the 70s, so that's sort of how they got their start, actually, was making wood stoves up in Canada. They have their S-Series unit. Their S30, which is their largest wood stove, I know is going to qualify for the tax credit. It's not out yet. Depending on when you're watching this video, it may be. I'm expecting it October, November-ish. So I think they have one that's going to qualify. That's really about, that should cover the majority of the wood stoves out there. I know I'm forgetting some, like Buck stoves, Breckwell wood stoves. There's some stoves, Pacific Energy's another one. I like to think I'm pretty knowledgeable when it comes to wood stoves. That should about cover it. Again, just due to length of time, I'm not going to go over every individual stove. I've already done way too much. This is already way too boring of a video, I'm sure, as always. So that's sort of the wood stoves. I'm going to tell you what we've done here at Embers to sort of gear up and get ready for this winter and get ready for the increased demand. What we've done is we've invested heavily in 3 major brands that we should have really, really solid inventory on for this winter. Vermont Castings, obviously, like you saw, those have already hit. We're locked and loaded. We're ready to roll. Tate, you ready to sell some Vermont Castings? Yeah, Tate's ready. Randy, you ready to sell some Vermont Castings?
I'm ready.
But what's your brand? Your brand of choice is what?
I like Hearthstone.
Hearthstone. Yeah, Rand's a big Hearthstone fan. And so we're locked and loaded with Hearthstone too. So that brings us to our second brand. We're heavy inventory in Vermont Castings. We're going to be heavy inventory on Hearthstone as well. Once they hit, they should be hitting, I would say in the next 15 to 30 days, we should have our full Hearthstone supply. And the last brand we went really heavy on was Iron Strike. Now what's cool about Iron Strike is it's really simple. It's essentially 2 models, the 230 and 300, freestanding insert, super simple, super easy. And then another brand that we also we're not super heavy on, but I feel confident in their inventory levels is MF Fire that we talked about. So those 4 brands, we should have inventory to get us through the winter. Now here's why I'm so concerned about product availability. Unless you guys have been living under a rock, you guys know that the demand for home good products, things like these barbecues over here, have absolutely soared. Everyone's spending time at home. Everyone's remodeling their homes. Everyone's trying to make their homes more cozy, more comfortable. So the demand for home good type products is absolutely through the roof. I was on a couple meetings with manufacturers, and they said they've seen anywhere from a 300 to 450% increase in demand. So that's crazy. 300 or 450% increase in demand. It's impossible to forecast for. There's no way these guys have the assembly lines built for that. So demand is absolutely through the roof. Also, what's going to drive demand is the best tax credit we've ever seen. Because there's such a good tax credit on these stoves, demand is also going to be through the roof. So we got a double whammy. Pow, pow, double whammy. Demand is here. Perfect storm type situation. Supply is here. It's below normal than what it normally is for several reasons. One, there's not enough raw materials. There's not enough steel. There's steel shortages. But the biggest thing is that all these stoves, or majority of them I should say, that we talked about, are made either in America, here in America, or Canada. There's obviously COVID shortages, health issues on assembly lines. There's a shortages of welders. These are all, not the cast iron, but the steel ones are all hand welded stoves here in this country or Canada. There's a shortage of laborers. So you mix all-time high demand with all-time low supply, boom, it's over. Game, set, match, point. Michael Scott. It's over. So if you're watching this video, it's end of August, early September at the time I film it, depending on when you're watching it. We will sell out. I would guess we've done our best to forecast this. It's just an impossible year to forecast. I could see us being sold out of stoves, having no stoves available. I hope I'm wrong. Middle of October. Usually we don't even see peak season till, first week, second week of November is usually when the season hits its peak, where our demand's at its all-time high. So if you're watching this video before then, it would be very, very smart of you, it would behoove you, I would say, to buy a wood stove earlier than you think you need it, because there's not going to be any available. That's just my opinion. We've loaded up our barn as best we could to try to forecast this, I guess you could say. This year, like I said, it's been an impossible year to forecast. I'm the owner of the company here. I've never really been in a position where I've had to worry about supply chain issues and forecast way ahead of time and fill up our own inventory. So it's really changed our whole business model. We have changed our business model now to loading up as heavy as we can. That way we can take care of consumers like you watching this video. So way too long of a video. I'm not trying to be salesman-y. If you watch any of my other videos, you know we're not salesmen in our YouTube videos. But buy earlier than you think you need it. That's all I can say. Just like anything else, appliances, all that stuff, wood stoves are gonna be no different. Don't wait till it's cold out. Buy them now, you'll be smart. If you wanna order from us, of course we'd be happy with that. Buy it now from us while we have the inventory. Or if you're not local or not nearby, some of these products we can still help you out with. We can ship them to you, not all the brands, but some of them. And or you can contact your local dealer, get into the local showrooms faster than you think you need to. That's my rant, that's my spiel. Stay tuned for more videos. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe. Stay tuned.